Hey guys, it's Troy.
And Matthew.
And we are back today from, where do we go?
We went to the Triangle Pin Show, or the Raleigh Pin Show.
2021. First pin show live and in person all year long. A bunch of shows got canceled last year because of COVID, and some even this year. Raleigh, North Carolina was the very first one this year.
Yep.
So we went there today. The show actually was started Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Today is Friday as we're recording this. Thursday was open to only people with a weekend registrant pass, which we did not do. But Friday, if you had that weekend registrant pass, you could come in at like 8 o'clock in the morning. But it opened to the public at 1, and that's when we decided to go. I didn't know as though it would be worth it for us because, number one, knowing the size of the Raleigh Pen Show, and also knowing that we may get in everything we're going to do in one day, just didn't know if it was going to be worth our while to go for the weekend registrant thing. And I've never done that. I may do it in DC only because I've booked a hotel for a lot longer than I normally do, and it's out of town. But here at the Raleigh show, it's our home show. It's only about 35 miles or so from where we sit.
So there's no point in booking a hotel.
Obviously, right.
Yeah.
But one of the things I was looking forward to is not only pen shopping, but the people. You know, for some people, pen shows are a huge social event. And they get a chance to meet other vendors and other pen enthusiasts and pen get-togethers and pen meetups. And we're hoping to organize actually some of that for you, some of our listeners, our viewers in DC. So we actually did that our last time we were in DC. We had a small get-together with some, a couple of vendors and some of you, our viewers, and we actually had a really good time doing that. But let's get to our a little bit about the show. One of the things. Oh, by the way, what I'm going to do is we actually recorded a walkthrough of the show on our little GoPro camera. And I'm debating whether to do it at the end of this video or to make it an entirely different video as a walkthrough. And it's just that. It's just a walkthrough. But I did take a lot of footage of all the tables. This particular show, there were some people who were listed on the website who were going to be vendors that weren't there. Today on Friday, Kenro wasn't there, and a few others that I was actually looking forward to talking to. One was a custom maker. I was hoping to talk about doing a custom pen together for him to do some work for me. But I did get a chance to talk to some other custom makers, though, and I was glad to see a lot of the people. Had some great conversation with some of the vendors. I was glad to see some of the vendors who I get to see time after time. Some who have been sick, who were alive and kicking at this show, and they were looking so much better. There were a couple of people there today who were looking better than we've seen them in a while.
Yep.
So let's start. First things first. Everybody who goes gets a tote bag, and I don't think we brought the tote bag into our little record set down.
No, it's on the living room table.
But you do get a free tote bag, and in the tote bag is an issue of Pen World magazine. And quite honestly, I was a subscriber to Pen World, and I let my subscription lapse, and this is because I wasn't taking the time to read like I should. But I do have an April issue of Pen World, and I really need to get the June issue of Pen World because my friend Jim Hines Pens, he is going to be featured in June's issue. So I probably need to renew my subscription. So congratulations, Jim. Had a long, good conversation with Jim there at the pen show. And by the way, keep watching because coming up I've got a very special review of a Jim Hines pen. We already have 5 Jim Hines pens here in our family.
I have the Beacon.
I've got a Beacon, and I've got a few others. But by the way, put in a small plug. Go to HinesPens.com, 15% off from your order. Use discount code Troy.
Another thing about Jim Hines, I got a sticker.
Yep. So we got a great chance to sit and talk to Jim. But we didn't buy anything from him today, though. But we did have a long conversation. But look for an upcoming review sometime in the future. Let's go first things first. We did the walkthrough. Before we bought anything, we did the walkthrough. And I had saved up some cash. I had set aside a big old stack of 20s that I had in my pocket.
Yep.
And the first place I think I made a purchase, wasn't that the first one I bought? I think it was.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was getting rid of his collection, or a lot of his collection, and a modern Waterman, and he had a, it is the right one too. Well, wait a minute. It says, right now it says hemisphere on the end. I know it's not a hemisphere.
Yeah. I showed my mom, and it was not a
No, it's not a hemisphere, but it was a Phileas. Waterman Phileas. I've got a bunch of Phileases here at the house.
He's a sucker.
I love a Phileas because my first real fountain pen was a Phileas, and that's a fountain pen I used for like 20 years. But this one, I've already got one in red. Didn't really need another one in red. But you know what this one has? It's got a stub nib. Never had a Phileas with a stub nib before. So I figured for that, and the fact he was selling it like pristine condition for $40.
It's a good deal.
That was a pretty good deal for a Waterman Phileas, especially with a stub nib. Like I said, never had one in a stub, and there is a cartridge and a converter that he included in the box. So it looks like he really never used it. So I will be trying a Phileas with a stub, and I'm going to see how that goes. I may do a video on that. What do you want to show next? How about where are the pens that you got?
It's that one. Oh,
All right.
I put both of mine in here.
Okay, you put both in there. Okay, cool. We stopped by Alan Hirsch's table. I'd bought from Alan before. Alan's kind of a staple at the Raleigh show and at the DC show. And I've bought some vintage pens from Alan in the past. And we got this one right here. He had a box full of these. And he was selling them for $20 a piece, and it had some really cool Chinese art on it. I'm assuming it's a Chinese-made pen. I will tell you, the nib on that one, he had a demonstration pen sitting that was all inked up and ready to go. I got this for him. He picked it up. He wrote with it. He liked it. I tried it.
Him.
Yeah, I tried it, and he. So I said, "So, are you trying to ask me for one?" And
Yes.
he finally got it. Yes, he is. Came with a little converter. It's a $20 pen. We had some other pens that were out there too. They tried to convince me to buy two of them. $20 a piece or two for $35. Dad, if you want one too. Well, not
There was,
really.
2 for 50 deals. I mean,
Yeah.
3 for 50. So
Yeah.
that's good.
So we went ahead and picked this up for $20. Actually, we got a chance to write with one, so we knew it was a good pen.
It wrote like really fine.
Yeah, really nice. How about?
Really smooth?
So I think the next one we bought was yours as well.
Yeah.
We ran across the table with this guy, had this pen sitting out in a Parker box, and I'm pretty certain that this pen didn't come in this Parker box. But this is a pen, believe it or not, that I have in the drawer behind me, and I was actually going to do a video on it. And Parker had licensed to Chinese manufacturers the Parker IM and allowed them to manufacture the IM. And this guy was selling it for, what, $10?
Yeah, he made a really good deal.
Yeah, he said, make an offer on it. So I did. It is a cartridge converter pen. Let's see, it did come with a converter. So good. Having a Parker converter is always a good thing.
Yep.
And it is a slip top. And I've got the same pen in red. Matter of fact, if you like red rather than black, we might work out a trade. I don't know.
Okay.
But I actually
That'll be fine.
I actually was going to record it, a video, and I kept looking, and it just looked different than the Parker website, the IM. And I was like, is it a fake Parker? Don't know. So I just never finished doing the recording. The pen actually wrote fairly well when I first got it. So the Parker IM, you can get these for on eBay, the Chinese-made version, for about $12. So we got this for $10.
And we got a $2 discount.
So you can find them, $9, $10, $12, I guess, somewhere on there on eBay. We stopped and talked to Frank and his brother at Federalist Pens. I had a chance to get on some Zoom calls with Frank, and I see Frank at various pen shows. He's kind of a staple nowadays. And Frank had the biggest table there. Well, I guess
Him
got
and
Crazy Alan.
his brother and
Yeah, his brother and his dad were manning the table. But Crazy Alan had a lot of table space. He always does at Crazy Alan's Emporium. By the way, Alan, if you're watching, I am so glad I got to see your smiling face there. I'm just glad that you're up and about. And that you're feeling a whole lot better. Love Alan. All right, but Ayush is a brand of paper from India that a pen pal of mine had given me a sheet as a test run, for a sample. And so pen pals of mine, you may just be seeing some of this paper show up in your mailbox with my handwriting on it. But wanted to give it a try. A tablet of Ayush. I think they were selling them for $10. And he had a tub full of them, and some was grid, some was plain, and some was lined. I wanted the lined, so that's what I got, was the Ayush, because I haven't had any of my own. I've had a lot of Clairefontaine, a lot of Rhodia, and a few other unknown brands. So that's cool. That's one of the things about pen shows too. Paper. It's not just pens. It's also inks and paper and nibs and parts and converters and
I'm not good at pronouncing. I thought that was Ayush.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Speaking of parts and pieces, I'm going to see if this one works. Schmidt manufactured this little fine liner, and it's kind of a felt tip. And I don't know yet, since I haven't gotten out and played with it, but I actually have a Waterman Hemisphere that is meant for a roller ball, but inside of this is actually a felt tip, a Levenger felt tip cartridge. And so instead of like a Sharpie, I've got a felt tip marker here in a Waterman Hemisphere body. And I was looking for a replacement because this will eventually run out. It still works now, but it eventually will run out. So I picked up this at, Bert Oster had his shop out there, his table, so I went ahead and picked that up. So we'll see if that works. And if it does, then great. All right, let's go with... I'll tell you what, let's go with these.
In order.
Well, yeah, but let's go with these. These are kind of a staple. If you don't have any of these in your house and you're a pen guy or girl, then, these are basically mats that you can put down inside of a drawer that can hold pens, or on a desk, or if you just don't want them rolling around, you can just lay these down. So, I had one in kind of a grayish,
white,
and then red and blue. And behind me in these drawers here, I actually trimmed one of these down. All my oversized pens in a big, thick or deep drawer, I lay them down in one of these inside there. So these are good to have around, and you can cut these up. You can cut them small enough to sit on your desk. So these are worth the money. They're like $8 a piece.
Yeah, at the pen show, $8 a piece. You got 3.
And actually, GoPens.com. Gary Lehrer. I've bought from Gary a lot on his website, his pen sales website, GoPens.com. And he was the guy who ended up asking you a lot of questions.
Yeah, we had a nice conversation.
Yeah, he was joking with Matthew an awful lot. Very conversational guy, having a good time. He and his wife were very pleasant to talk to. So some of these are always worth having. And these are not the big purchases, by the way. But I'm going to set that aside over here out of the way. Something I picked up that wasn't for me. I actually picked this up for a friend. There was a guy who had a table full of stands, just desk pen stands. And it didn't matter, single, double, had some broken ones, had some, this one has some chips in it, but it's marble. But it's still in fairly good condition. And this is an old Parker desk set or stand.
And it looks nice.
It still looked nice. And I bet you it would clean up very nicely. And I actually had somebody in mind to be able to give this to. So I'm not going to keep this. I'm probably going to give it to a friend of mine. Because we looked at all the ones there. And I said, out of all of them, for the size that it is, And I like the way the ball rotates on it, and for the use for this individual, I figured, that just might work out very well. So
I tried to convince him into buying one with the turtle.
it was a cool looking turtle one.
Yeah.
And if we go back to the pen show, like I said, today was the first day open to the public. One of the things I'm going to tell you is we were there for about 4 hours or so.
Yeah, got there at about 12.
No, yeah, but just before 1 o'clock. I mean, there were already people in before 1 o'clock, and they were walking around. So, but so we got there right at 1 or so, and we spent 3.5, 4 hours standing around talking to people. It's not a big show. We got a chance to see everything we wanted to see, talk to just about everybody we wanted to talk to. And shop and spend all the money. He didn't spend any.
No, I'm broke.
He didn't save any money
No.
for the show. So I'm hoping maybe for the DC show he'll have some money saved up so he can buy stuff on his own.
My birthday's in July, so that will work out good.
But we just may be able to go shopping with him on his own dime. But for this particular show, quite honestly, I had a budget of $800 cash. I figured that should be plenty to buy anything I wanted. Looking around, there were some magnificent pens that I absolutely adored.
I found some Jim Hines ones that were absolutely beautiful.
Yep, and I tell you what, I had some. I actually had a pen pal of mine ask me if there were any pens that I was in the market for. I have been wanting for a while a Wahl Eversharp Deco Band, modern Deco Band. They're oversized. They're beautiful. They're big. And they are expensive. I think the cheapest that we saw was like $675, $695.
Wait, and wasn't it 50% off too?
No, those ones weren't.
Oh.
But I was very tempted. And we saw some Armando Simone Club. I was tempted, but quite honestly, because the price that they were asking for some of these pens, $775 for some of the other ones, other ones I'd seen that I liked. Quite honestly, I didn't want to spend all my money on one pen, and I didn't want to whip out a credit card and go into debt. Run up a debt that I can probably easily pay off, but I didn't want to do that for a pen show. So I kept looking and I kept looking. I found some a fantastic ST DuPont 007 James Bond pen. I saw it when it came out, and I was eyeballing it, really liking it, thinking about it. It was half off, but it was still $650 at half off.
That's what I was talking about.
And don't get me wrong, I like ST DuPont. Every single ST DuPont pen I have ever picked up has been awesome. Matter of fact, I've got here on my desk, I'm not going to show it to you right now, but pen mail for me yesterday was an ST DuPont limited edition that I can tell you right now on eBay is going for $1,600. Buy it now. I know. I didn't pay anywhere near that. Not even close. Not even in the same ballpark. That was like 8 times what I paid. No, I didn't get it brand new with a box or anything like that, like new in a box kind of thing. But still, it's an awesome pen. Love it. And there was some others, some nice,
beautiful.
There was some, but there's some other fantastic pens that this guy had. Matter of fact, that blue flyer that we have sitting over here, thepenshow.com. They had some awesome pens. I was just drooling over some of these. There was a Waterman Karen that this one guy where I bought that Phileas for $235. He had a beautiful Karen. I thought it's a Karen is a little overpriced, but it was sterling silver with gold overlay on it. And it was a higher end one. And I love the Karen, but didn't go for it. My advice when you're going to a pen show, do a walk around.
To see what you want?
See what's out there. Take note of the things that you see. And I started and I was so tempted as I'm just on the first row of tables, stuff that I knew that I wanted. I'm going, boom, 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 boom. I want it.
That was me at Franklin Christoph's table. I saw like some beautiful pins. I thought about my mom. Mom would love this.
Yeah, and he kept trying, Mommy's not here with us. Mommy would love this. Mommy would love that. Mommy would love this. And
was about 7 times?
Yeah, he kept trying to egg me on to buy something for Mommy this time, and we didn't. But there was so much to eyeball, so much to touch. Pens I've been wanting to play with, touch, feel, and see how it would hold up. Some pens I'd never been able to touch. Some I have in the past, which is one of the reasons why I wanted some of them. But I did have some pens that I wanted. I mentioned the Wahl Eversharp Deco Band. Today, for me, was a Wahl Eversharp kind of day. Somebody had mentioned, when I talked about the pen show in a previous video, that I seem to have only been talking about vintage pens at a pen show. There are a ton of vintage pens.
Some nice ones.
And that's one of the great things is, there were some Waterman pens, and I love Waterman vintage pens, that were in Cardinal. I didn't have any Cardinal red ones in my collection that I thought was really cool. Kind of wanted some. There were some other pens that are brand new that I just drooled over, that I just talked about. But one person who was watching the video mentioned that I only seem to be talking about vintage stuff at pen shows. Yeah, I'm guilty of that, because when I go to a pen show, new stuff I can order online.
Yeah.
With vintage, you don't always get a chance to find it online and order it. At least you get to touch, feel, ask questions about them. And I actually went ahead and I mentioned a Deco Band.
Beautiful.
Somebody had this. It's not my first choice in color. I don't mind the black and pearl, but a Wahl Eversharp. And it's not the huge, oversized ones like the modern ones. It's smaller, but it's vintage. It's a lever filler. And the guy said, I can't remember if I had put a new sack on that one or not. It's been 18 months since we've been able to get together and have any pen shows or me selling anything. I said, no big deal. I'll try it. For the price he offered, I said, that's a reasonable price. So I went ahead and I figured I'd give it a shot. And it's a beautiful Wahl Eversharp in a Deco Band. So that was on my shopping list, although for a modern. Also, I've been open to the vintage, and I've been seeing them vintage. So, with a nice little lever filler, why not? So that was the first pen, the second pen I bought for me, because the first one was that Waterman.
Yeah.
And then we kept walking around. Papier Plume. I was glad to see them at the Raleigh show. We'd been to Papier Plume.
In person.
Yep. I've had Papier Plume ink before. Some of their inks were great. Some of them were okay. But one of the inks that I thought was great was this one right here.
Peacock Blue.
Peacock Blue. I really enjoyed this blue ink, this color. And when 2 summers ago,
yeah,
we went down to Texas, and from Texas back in through Louisiana, and said we're going to take the southern route through Louisiana, and we're going to stop in Lafayette, and we're going to have some Cajun food at a Cajun restaurant.
Nice food.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Préjean. I'm giving them a plug.
Préjean's. I recommend the Gator.
we did. We had some good Gator. But we also stopped in New Orleans and went to the Papier Plume shop in the French Quarter. And I picked up a Jean-Pierre Lepine pen, which I've shown on this channel. The other thing is, for this pen show, they had Carolina on My Mind is the show ink that they put together specifically for the Raleigh Pen Show. For those of you who don't know, Carolina Blue.
Wait, so is the color of the lid the color?
The color of the lid is roughly the color of the ink. For those of you who
I don't like that ink.
Follow Figboot on pens, his channel, I do believe he did a review of this ink. I have not watched that video myself, but I'm pretty sure he did just recently a review of this ink. So go to his channel. If I can find it, I'll put a link to it in my video description below. But this is Papier Plume's ink that they concocted for the Raleigh Pen Show. Carolina
Special.
Right. Carolina blue is very much that sky blue. University of North Carolina colors. Not that I'm a UNC fan. Sorry, guys. But the UNC shirts are Carolina blue. And that's what this ink was supposed to be reminiscent of. So I went ahead and picked up a bottle of that along with a peacock blue. I was excited when I saw peacock blue because I'm looking over their shelf, looking at all the blues. Okay, I've got that they had a bunch of bottles of forget-me-not blue. I already got a bottle of that. I picked that up at the shop, you know.
I just love blue inks.
I generally do too.
Yeah, I inked up a pen. Asked me what color I want. Blue.
Except for this last one, I inked up for you. You wanted purple. Yes, last night.
Yeah, I inked up 2 by myself. First time ever. I'm proud.
Now, this last pen that I've got here is the very last pen that I picked up. And it is one of the last booths that we stopped at and talked to somebody. For those of you who have ever been to the website vintagepens.com or probably seen him on Fountain Pen Network or on some of the Facebook groups, you've run across the name David Nishimura. David is one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever read behind. And he's also very sharing and very generous of his knowledge and of his time.
Seems like a nice person.
And he was. And as many times as I've interacted with him and seen him online, and I've purchased from his website, and have known the name, and he's very involved in like Pen Collectors of America, which I'm a member. I never got a chance to actually meet him and spend the time. And it was never going to work out for me in the DC show because I had my wife and a son with me and the limited time that we had. But because the Raleigh show was not incredibly busy, I mean, there were still a lot of people there.
There was probably about 100 or 200 people.
A good many people there, but we got the chance to stand there and talk to David. And David, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciated talking to you, and I meant every word that I said to you.
He had a long, nice talk.
Yeah, and he had a pen that I had been eyeballing as I'm talking to him. On my list of things was a Wahl Eversharp Skyline. I've got a couple of Skylines. I've given away Skyline pens that I personally restored here on this YouTube channel. But there was one pen that I had been wanting that was a Skyline, and that was in the executive size. They come in 3 different sizes. You got the demi, you've got the standard size, and you've got the executive. Executive pens are harder to come by. They're bigger. And then as we got to talking, he said that the black is actually one of the hardest to come by. You'd think not, you know. You'd think that a plain old black pen would be easy to come by.
I see like so many black pens, like.
But apparently, though, in the Wahl Eversharp Skyline, which I absolutely love the design
See the glare?
of the Skyline. But apparently, black is highly collectible. The executive was highly collectible, and I've been wanting an executive for a while because I wanted it bigger. Love the Skyline, but I just wanted it bigger, because it would fit better in my hand. I'm hoping it would write better, so I went ahead and picked this up. So, didn't know how much I had left, so I pull out the stack of money that I had left, and I went through and I counted it out, and it came to exactly the total that he and I discussed. I was like, all right. So,
happy man.
So I handed him the money, and I had the pen, and so I was happy that I got that. So for me, yes, it was a vintage pen kind of day for me. Phileas is a modern pen, but it's from the 90s, 1990s, so you could call it vintage, I guess. Wahl Eversharp, 2 Wahl Eversharps for me. I didn't plan this, by the way. That's not how I planned it. That's one of the things about me picking up vintage pens at a pen show is I don't know what's going to be there. I know there's going to be some old Watermans.
Yeah.
I know there's going to be some gold overlays on Waterman, some silver filigree overlays.
Yeah.
I know that there's going to be Parker 51s.
And Monteverdes.
Oh yeah, you're always going to have your Conklins and your Monteverdes.
Pilots.
I even saw a vintage Conklin that I kind of wanted. Some beautiful vintage Conklins.
Yes.
Modern Conklins, of course. Montegrappas. I've been wanting the Montegrappa Ten Commandments pen, and there was the seller there, thepenshow.com guy. He had one. Unfortunately, it was a fine nib.
He doesn't like fine.
I don't like fine nibs so much, but if it was a medium or a broad nib, we would have been talking.
I like medium nibs too. So.
I mean, I know what they go for, and I had the cash at the time to be able to have bought it, and I'd have been happy with it. But because I've been eyeballing it, and so anyway, this was our pen haul. Pen shows. What are the benefits of going to a pen show?
You get to expand your collection.
Mm-hmm.
You get to see what else is in the pen world.
Mm-hmm.
Some things you may not even know about. Then you can go and explore, discover new pens, new parts, new nibs, all of that.
If you are one of those who's never bought a vintage pen before, and you only had modern pens, then you get to go see what vintage pens are all about. You get to go see all kinds of different models and makes and manufacturers and different nibs. If you are looking for parts for pens, they had tables with all kinds of parts.
Yep, a lot of parts.
Nibs and all, you name it. Paper. If you want to try something other than a Rhodia pad, a bunch of other papers that are out there. If you're looking for notebooks, everything from little dinky tiny notebooks to
like field notes, all the way to
full 8.5 by 11 size. It's great to go and see what kind of paper is out there, sizes, shapes, dot pads, plane pads, grid pads, line pads, you name it.
A lot.
You know what else is really good about pen shows?
What?
The people.
Yeah. You get to meet some nice people and get to talk about the pens and everything. Just have nice, long conversations.
You meet fellow collectors.
Yep.
You meet vendors. There are some vendors that I've actually made friendships with, and some that I've been acquaintances with, where I've deepened that acquaintanceship. I've obviously expanded my collection, both modern and vintage, over the years. And it's great on a vintage pen not having to just trust pictures on eBay or on a website, unless you really trust the seller. And there's some sellers out there I will trust no matter what, because I've gotten to know them from buying from them or met them at a pen show.
And talk and become friends.
So, the new Parker 51. If you wanted to know what old Parker 51s are like, there was a guy he specialized in Parker 51s. His whole table, it was Parker 51s. And you could expect to see them, touch them. Ballpoint pens, not just fountain pens, ballpoint pens. There was a seller who made some awesome ballpoints.
Star Wars ballpoints.
He was eyeballing the Star Wars ballpoints.
Yeah, they were expensive for ballpoints though.
Because they were licensed Star Wars.
Yeah, they had Darth Vader, Han Solo, and Luke Skywalker. The Darth Vader one, I just looked at how it on the side of the box. It was cool.
So there are some custom-made ballpoints for various interests: fire, EMS, civic organizations.
They had an alcohol one. I can remember that one very vividly for some reason.
Okay. So if you wanted to see, touch, let's say we mentioned Jim Hines. If you wanted to know what Jim's pens were, not just from going to his website, by the way, 15% off all your purchases, discount code Troy. But if you, and some of you have taken advantage of that, by the way, good for you, because Jim told me a bunch of you have been buying using that discount code. Please do it.
Code Troy.
But if you wanted to see what his were in person, he had them all. He had all of his various acrylics, had all of his nibs, the colors of his nibs. You could actually pick them up and touch them and feel them in your hand so that you knew that an Avancio feels like this. And all these different models that he has on his website, hey, you could have said, hey, Jim, I want to try, I looked at this on your website. I want to touch it.
I saw some pins. I went to his website after the pin show. There were some pins that weren't on his website that were in person that I saw that were like I fell in love with.
Yep. So, as we were walking around too, there were, I felt bad for a couple of sellers because one guy had some beautiful pens. He said, "Did you see anything really that interests you?" And I said, "Got to be honest, you got some great pens, but I pretty much have already filled all those areas in my collection. So I've got pretty much everything you've got out here. I've got one of them. So, yeah, not really seeing anything at your table that interests me, but, great selection of pens." So, anyway, that's our pen haul. Still debating whether or not I'm going to go again the next day because, like I said, I spent my wad of cash. I don't feel bad about it either because I like what I got.
Yeah. That means that you got some stuff. Hopefully you like it.
And that's what I've been setting my money aside for.
Pin shoes.
Or,
Personal use.
anything else. Yeah, anything I wanted to, I had enough money set aside to make it worth my while. And, you don't have to spend a ton of money. I mean, good grief. One of his pens was $10. Another pen of his was 20.
He only spent $30 on me, and I'm happy with what I got.
$9 bottle of ink. A $10 tablet. Writing tablet. So it doesn't have to be expensive to go to a pen show. It's worth it, if nothing else, to ask questions about pens you don't know anything about. The vintage guys that are experts, you can ask them about the pens that he's got. You can touch, feel. That's what I love about it. You can actually touch and feel the pens that you've only seen online.
You can't
never
do
get
that
to
on
experiment. You can't do that on eBay. You're right.
Yeah.
So you get a chance to experiment, and you get a chance to enjoy. Which does a lot for me. That's why I bought the pens that I did, because I got to actually touch them. So that's our pen haul.
This was $20 and it was a good price. Just look at the design. I like it. It's nice.
He was happy with it.
Yeah.
So there you go. But so we walked around till we ran out of money. We ran out of pen show. And my back was hurting, my feet were hurting, because we were on our feet walking around for 3.5, 4 hours. And I got to the point of, okay, it's getting time to go. And then on the way out, we got to see an old friend there and have a good conversation.
I sat down because my feet were like, it feels like it was about to fall off. One more step, I'll just...
Anyway, that's our pen haul. I may do some specific videos on each of these pens that we've got here. The Parker IM, since now we have 2 of them in the family, I may actually finish that video and get that out to you guys in the future. You may see the Wahl Eversharp Deco Band again, and you may get a chance to see the Skyline and compared to the other models of Skyline, because like this one here is one I've been wanting. The Executive has definitely been wanting. So that's it. That's all I got. How about you? Anything else you wanted to mention about the show that you experienced today? And
I had fun.
That was worth the price of admission. For an 11-year-old boy to tell me that he went to a trade show and had fun, that was worth the money to get through the door. And we got to do some father-son time. So it was just the 2 of us today.
Yeah. My mom had to work and she couldn't come.
And your oldest brother was at work, and your baby brother was at grandma's.
Yeah, and I don't think neither of them are really interested.
No, they have no real interest in pens, so. That's it.
Yep.
All right, cool. Maybe we'll get you to do some pen videos on your own, and we talked about it. We just haven't done it.
Maybe I can do a video on how to ink a pen.
Maybe you can do that.
Because I just found out how to do it on my piston converter.
And if we could identify what model this was, maybe you can do a video on it. The Parker IM, maybe you can do a video on it since you got two of them to play with. But that's it. Cool. Ça suffit, as my mom would say. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Just a couple of knuckleheads sitting there shooting their mouths off about a pen show that we went to. I mean, go figure.
Bye.
All right, bye.